Welcome to Year 8. It's Year 8 autumn term, and this is your fourth independent learning challenge that you've been set at Key Stage 3 in music. Another compositional challenge, so asking you again to show me what you've learned through your own music making. As before, I will be assessing you based on your attention to detail, in particular to the musical elements. All 8 of them need to be considered at all points during your piece, and I'll be looking for you having demonstrated use of additional compositional techniques that I haven't seen you use before. And they may be techniques that we've covered in class, or they may be techniques that you've learned through your own exploration or outside of class. And that's fine. If you have arrived in school later, perhaps just this year for the first time, I would encourage you to look at the previous Independent Learning Challenge videos, which are all available on this YouTube channel. That'll give you a sense for what I've been expecting my students to produce already, and my general principles of assessment and things like that, what I'm looking for. But otherwise, the key difference with this task is, and it's very challenging actually, is that I would like you to produce not only a recording of your composition, but also a traditionally notated score. Now, we've looked at how rhythms and pitches are notated in the past. What we haven't done is looked at the industry standard software known as Sibelius, how that's useful in presenting a written out score in a neat and professional manner. And that's something you're going to discover for yourselves. I'll give a little introduction in a moment. But I would expect not only a recording of your composition this time, but also a score that goes with it for at least some of the main ideas in your composition. It's a big task, so I wouldn't be too worried if you're not able to score the entire piece of music. Okay, the more you can do, the better, because this sort of skill requires a lot of practice to become good at it. The other constraint that I haven't imposed before on your compositional learning challenges is that you on this occasion must be one of the performers of the eventual performance of your composition. So in the past, I've allowed you to explain to your classmates what you want them to perform, but now really I think it's rather important that all of us are getting involved in performance as well. I know that we do that in class, but I would like you to be part of this performance as well. Okay, so I'm going to be looking in summary for a clear structure. I'm not too worried about an extended duration of your composition. As I say, I'm more interested in looking for your use of elements and your use of compositional technique. I'm looking for a nicely presented score that I could or another musician could perform from. All right. Your choice as to what instruments you use. I would caution you against using too many. It can become quite unmanageable, especially when you're just starting out. If you have an entire orchestra to write for, huge amounts of things are going on at once. So perhaps it could be a solo instrumental piece for something like just flute, or if you're looking to show me some sort of harmonic devices, then you're going to need more than one instrument. So you might have something like flute and clarinet, or perhaps flute, clarinet and piano, that sort of thing. But don't take it too far beyond that. It'll just be far too much notating work to go on if you do that at this stage. So here we are, having just started Sibelius. This is Sibelius version 7. May be different to the version that you have on your computers now, but the principles are all the same. So it's still worth going through how this software works. Once you start a new score, you will choose those instruments that you would like to have in your piece. That's the first thing. I've chosen piano, so it gives me a piano score. I can also decide what key I would like my piece of music to be in. If, for example, you are writing a melody with piano accompaniment, a vocal melody, let's say, it's really important that you don't just stick to the key of C as a default, because what's really important is that you actually perform the piece in the key that you would naturally sing it in. That's always going to sound better. Now, that will be different for different tunes and different voices, but start by identifying what the key is you want to write in, and then choose your key. Now, your keys are down here. Let's just assume I decided rather than being in C major, I want to be in D major. I just simply choose it here. Okay. I can also choose the tempo of my piece. Quite a few things I can set up before I even really start. I think it's always useful to have a metronome mark on your music, because it's part of the important information of your piece. Exactly what tempo do you want it to be performed at? Now, a standard tempo is crotchet equals 120 beats per minute. If you think about it, that's a beat every half a second. And that's sort of a steady pulse, quite standard for sort of pop songs. If you want it faster, increase this number. If you want it slower, decrease this number. But let's start with a fairly typical 120 beats per minute for my piece. Okay. Most music is in 4/4/4. Sometimes we have music written in compound time. Sometimes we have 3 beats per bar rather than 4. Things like a waltz and that sort of thing. But let's just have our piece in the standard 4/4 for now. Later on, I can change any of this. It's just useful to have a sense for the basic information of our piece before we start. So once I've specified the key, the time signature, and the tempo, we're ready to get going. So I click Create. Okay. And there I have my empty score, nothing on it. What I can then do is I can create a title. I think that's rather important. We'll call it Mr. M's Masterpiece. Okay. Title really does define your piece in a few words, and so it is very important. You certainly don't want a piece with no title. Try to come up with a good title to get you started and remind you exactly what it is you're trying to achieve right at the start. Okay, now you could have, if you like, you could put subtitles and so on. Certainly it's worth putting the composer's name, excuse me, which is you. The composer's name, that's you. Okay, and if the words were written by somebody else, you could put the librettist or the lyricist's name underneath there as well. Okay, but some basic information. Now you've got two choices. You can either play in your music using a MIDI keyboard, much like you have done in the past with Reaper and or other sequencing software. Or what you can do is you can type the notes in by choosing the note type. And what I tend to do is I tend to put all of my notes on one line and adjust them later. Okay, quavers tend to be pretty popular, so I put lots and lots of quavers in. I'm on note D, which is my home note in the key of D, and if I press D on my keyboard, I'll get lots and lots and lots and lots of quavers. Okay, so I can fill up my score with some notes. Now, this is not the music I've written at this stage. This is just a way of getting notes in very efficiently. I could then change some of these note values so that I've got a slightly more interesting rhythm. Bum 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 bum. Yeah. Bum 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 bum. That sort of thing. That might be a basic rhythmical idea in my piece. Okay, and I might want to repeat it, in which case I copy and paste. Okay, so I've now got at least my rhythmical ideas in here. Now clearly I don't want my entire piece to be on the pitch of D. I could da 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 ba 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 ba. I can then move these about, and one of the useful things is that Sibelius allows us, when we put our ideas in, to actually hear the notes, so we can compare with whatever melody we may have sung. Okay, and it'll tell us whether we've got it correct just by using our ears. So that's how we would enter notes on Sibelius. I could then add my accompaniment on a different score, and there are all sorts of things you can do. If I wanted to turn that into a chord, I can choose this note and actually build intervals on top of it so that I've got several notes being played at once. Now, this is without doubt going to require some exploring on your part, and that is the independent inquiry aspect of this exercise. But essentially you can see that this is a tool for presenting your ideas in traditionally notated score that another musician could take and perform.